Yo, welcome to the EarSauce podcast. It's myself, Manny. I'm with your boy, Ollie. I'm with your boy, Matt, as well. Chilling, ready to review the biggest tracks or albums that have been released in the past week.
I feel like there's only one.
There's only one.
Definitely one that took all the news.
One can say on the short list.
Exactly. I'm going to start off by saying it's Daystar. I'm sure everyone's listening to that now. We're also going to cover Action Bronson. What else are we covering?
A$AP Ferg.
Correct, yeah.
And Spillage.
And don't forget Don Kennedy.
Oh, of course. West Coast legend. Living legend.
Living.
All right, so
cool.
Let's just jump right into the meaty one, yeah? The meaty one.
Let's do it.
Honestly, yeah. So this whole Tory Lanez situation is nuts. That's all I can say. It's nuts. And I feel like a lot of people, before we even get to Daystar, the album, we need to discuss what's actually occurred around it, because allegedly occurred. The allegations that are being put before Mr. Daystar. Mr. Tory Lanez, Mr. Black Michael Bublé, as I like to call him. Daystar Peterson's name. So anyway, so he is alleged to have shot. He's alleged to have shot like pretty much the princess of rap right now, Megan Thee Stallion, in the foot. And I've heard a few different stories about what happened to her, but basically all of them are saying that Tory Lanez shot Meg, whether it was on purpose or by accident or whatever. This is what is alleged to have occurred. Now, since this happened a few months back, it seems like everyone's essentially turned on him, from the fans to other musicians, both male and female, and everyone's riding behind Megan Thee Stallion. Now, I feel that if he has shot this lady, if Tory shot Meg, then obviously it's a massive deal. It's a massive one, and you can't just get away with shooting someone. But I just don't. Even from then, it didn't add up. It didn't make sense that Tory just pulled out his gun and shot the woman. So yeah, let's break it down. Let's get into the album and let's break down what we feel. What his response actually to what's been alleged against him. Right, we'll start with their views.
Yeah, so I would definitely like to start with my view. Listening to Daystar, you can really sense that Tory Lanez is singing for his life on the track.
I'm singing for my freedom!
He's definitely singing for his freedom.
Oh, Kelly vibes.
Yeah, mate, it's serious. Listening to his intro, he clipped up all of the negative, most of those negative media outlets and their voices, clipping them up, and then actually writing a verse that kind of counteracted a lot of what was being said in the media. Me personally, I felt the subject matter on the actual album was limited. Rightly so,
it's
because
very limited,
there's a lot for him to say. Like, the fans want to know what had happened, and in a way, as a musician, whether it's right or wrong, this is a way to use your platform to access your fans and give them the information. Rather than you've seen other artists come out after turbulent trials and tribulations, and they're gone on to things like social media, and out talking rubbish, whereas Tory's kept it straight to the music, and whether he's right or wrong, he's gonna make a profit from these album sales. He's independent now as well.
Can I sorry to cut you, man.
Yeah,
I feel like you just said something there which I didn't even think about myself, but I think it's quite an important thing, and that is you're right. When these artists don't use their own platforms to get their message out, they can get tripped up by somebody interviewing them. So, for example, when Kelly was being interviewed by that woman, and she asked him a question. Was it, do you find yourself attracted to was it, I can't remember if it was underage women or young women? I think it was young women. She asked the question, and he said, "How old are we talking?" That made him sound really guilty.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? All right. Whereas if you control the narrative yourself, obviously you have a much better opportunity to give a clear message without any misinterpretation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's something that, in that sense, Tory has done well by releasing his side of the story in this manner.
Cool. Like, I just want to separate the music versus what's actually gone on. So I'll focus on the music now. So my favorite song on the album is the intro. Like, I feel like it set the pace. There's other standout tracks. I believe there is, I forget its name, but one sec, I'll come back to it. But for me, my standout track is the intro. What are your guys' thoughts before we give it ratings?
I've not even heard of it yet, but I would say my standout was Sorry, But I Had To, because Tory came out with all the guns slinging for that one, man. The man came out with the AK, and he was firing at everyone that basically chat shit on his name since this whole situation started. He came out firing, and like one of my favorite lines was about the one about J.R. Smith. He's talking about, if there's one person that shouldn't be firing shots, it's you. And like, obviously J.R. Smith is a basketball player, and basically his shooting percentage is a bit shit in it. So, like, yeah, that line killed me. The line about JoJo, about how she took him off the deluxe version of the album, but not the standard one, and he's like, you don't care anyway because you already got paid by the label. Like, he was flexing, like saying, like, look, basically what to me in that song, he said, I'm not no little boy. Yeah. I'm a big man in the game, and to be honest with you, he's like 3 or 4 albums deep now. He does so many features, and he's a big feature. Like, honestly, normally when Tory Lanez is on a feature on your song, the song's going to perform on a certain level. So I'm expecting that he gets a lot of money for each feature, and he's a wealthy man. So even if he was like, his whole career ended today, he probably would still be laughing to the bank regardless.
He'll be chilling writing songs and demos, like he's still gonna make P's,
exactly that. And even with that said, like I remember there were again allegations saying that since the incident occurred, that his streams had fallen so far down the list, and that was proven to be untrue as well. Like, again, the songs that he's featured on were the songs that were doing best for on the charts. So it seems like he's not really being cancelled anyway.
Yeah.
Everyone's sneak listening.
Yeah, I think. By the way, this track I was talking about was "Money Over Fallouts," which is the intro, and the second track I really liked is "Jokes on Me." I thought that was a really good one too.
Really?
Yeah. I thought that was rubbish, to be honest.
I thought
no. I thought the worst track of the album is "Solar Drive at Night." I don't know what sort of Sean Kingston. I don't know what that's like. Sean Kingston, "Beautiful Girls" sort of sound. It just sounded awful. Yeah. Like, it was like, I don't know what he was thinking. That's like some 60s. Oh, I love my girlfriend sort of vibe. Like, nah, allow it, man.
Is it me, or did you feel like he was trying to send subliminals in the song? Like, you know, when someone uses like code message to be like, you're like, you. I know you and me understand.
The whole song was a big subliminal message. Even the party that the name of the song, Solar Drive, is actually a road. I think it was in LA. No, it's a road in Atlanta. Sorry, and apparently that's apparently where he used to spend time with Meg because they were dating. Right. So the whole thing's like basically saying, "Oh, do you remember our times we used to do this, whatever?" Every song is very calculated. Yeah. And for me, normally, so when we get the rating for this album, we're not quite there yet, but something I always say is I do like albums that are on topic, that are cohesive, and with a clear message or whatever. And this album really does tick those boxes, and it's annoying because I feel like everyone's trying to be like, "Oh, this like Tory's cancelled, he can't do his music, whatever. But he's actually put out an album that is very good. It's not simple. It's a very good album. Even so, there are a couple of rubbish tracks on there. Yeah.
So let me kick in here. So I didn't know what to expect from this album. I mean, his last album was really good, and I didn't see him. And the last time he released a good album, the following album was trash. So I didn't see this happening again. But I was so shocked at how good it was. Like the intro straight away, like Manny said, it's just hard hitting. Like it just hit you hard, and like instantly instantly I was captivated, and then it just went from like, generally speaking, strength to strength. So,
and the fact that he's just continuing this, like putting out things about the accusations on each track, basically, and essentially saying how it's foolishness. I appreciated that.
Yeah. So did I. The only problem I had with it was it may have been a bit too long. Like there's only one track that I didn't like, and that was "Jokes on You." Sorry I Had To was my standout track as well. Just for a little intro skit. Like I found that hilarious. I know the video song, but just like adding it in, I was creasing when I heard that. But yeah, like every track has like at least great bars.
I think Care For You was very good too.
Yeah.
And also Queen and Slim.
Queen and Slim was an interesting one because I feel like he bit one of Chance's songs from Acid Rap, and yet he dissed Chance earlier in one of the other tracks.
Because Chance is too soft, man. Like, is Chance even going to fire back at him anyway? No.
Chance has his own brand.
Random question for you, right? On the timeline, a lot of people were saying that Tory Lanez took influence from all the hottest rappers in the game at the moment. There was like an album that matched a Meek Mill beat, an album that was Drake. You got a Weeknd song.
You got a Young M.A. sounding song as well.
There you go.
You got a Chance sounding song. Like he actually bit a Drake bar in one of the songs as well. I can't remember it.
See, I want to say this thing about Drake and Tory Lanez style though, right? And I do see the resemblances between the songs, especially the lyrics being very similar. And the similarities in the flow as well, right? But how much is that to do with the fact that they're from the same place? Because you could also say there's like a few Atlanta rappers that sound the same. For example, there's a few LA rappers that sound the same. So how much is it to do with the fact that they're all from Toronto?
I would agree with you if Tory Lanez wasn't like a
known copy.
Like he is. I can't think.
Bare plagiarism.
Yeah, he's literally that. He's like a. He's like a copy sheet, basically. He copies so much stuff. Like, there's so many different styles and flows to Tory, but that's one criticism I had of that album. I still can't find his own sound.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, do you know what? I think with Tory's sound is his voice. Like, it's very distinctive. Do you know what I mean?
It's distinctive when he raps. But when he sings, it's not distinctive.
It's very chameleon-like. I agree with that, Ollie. Like, when he's singing, he does sound a lot like other people. But when he raps, his rapping voice is very distinct. However, with the flows and the lyrics, there's a lot of similarities with other people as well. That's the issue. Like, he does copy a lot, and it makes it difficult to really, like, fully embrace him. But
like, technically speaking, he doesn't really copy lyrics, but he copies, like, he makes it very similar.
He copies the bars. He definitely copies bars, and he does it with too much frequency. So he copy like half a 8 bars from someone and change the other half. But it's like the bit he copies is so well known that it makes it. You can't fail to make the find the similarity between that and somebody else's song. Whereas sometimes people copy bars from other rappers, but the bars they copy, they're so underground, they're so unknown that people just don't really think anything of it.
It's either that,
Tory just goes and buys the most bait lyrics.
Or they copy for effect. So they drop a bar that someone else's dropped that everyone knows, but they do it for an effect that adds to the song. Whereas Tory doesn't do that. So you can see where he's taking inspiration for that track, but then that inspiration falls actually into the track. And so technically speaking, Tory should be top tier. But he's not. He's not because of that.
there's two things here now. What you said about using the bar for effect, yeah, I do understand why you say that, and it's like because you mean like, for example, if he's paying homage to the rapper that he's copied from, for example, and of course he's not doing that here because the way he tries to do it, he tries to pass it off as almost as if it was his own lyric to begin with, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of Tory Lanez being top tier, I struggle with that because of the fact that throughout his career, he's copied. I can't think of a standout. Okay, maybe one or two standout tracks which are literally him, but for the most part, his biggest tracks have been tracks where he's copied, and I don't think you can be top tier of that, like the heavy sampling.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. That's what keeps me from being top tier. It's one of my favorite songs.
But one thing I would argue as well, though, like there's like maybe one or two tracks in here that are quite original, like that. Intro was quite original because where do you think he's gaining influence for that intro? That's no Meek Mill, really. No, that ain't.
No, but do you know what that intro reminds you of? It reminds you of Drake's Spazzes and Tuscan Leather Flow. That intro there gave me like flashbacks to Nothing Was the Same. Like that first track of Nothing Was the Same had the same sort of effect.
Yeah, it does. There is similarities in there.
So it's like Tuscan Leather Flow, like when he just spazzes towards the end of the track.
Yeah,
that's what the whole of Tory Lanez track was.
That's what I'm saying. Everything he does, he borrows from someone else. He's never the originator, and I feel like being original in your path is something that brings you to a higher status in your career. And you know what, right? I feel like at times this is something that's held back someone at the game. Because he's always been someone that name drops or copies people's flows, and people always say, "Oh, you're always biting other niggas, right?" And I feel like that's Tory Lanez's thing that he just can't.
I feel like Game gets a pass though, because Game may copy
gets
the flow,
a pass because he's gang.
It's only because he'll copy the flow only on the same track that person's on, just to show that he's like lyrically up there with his features. Whereas if he just like on his own, he has his own style, his own flow, and his lyrics are consistent. So
and I also say that to be able to do as many flows as Game does, that's like a talent in itself. I remember there's a song on the documentary too, with one of Diddy, and he does Biggie's flow with Biggie's voice, and like I thought that was crazy.
Yeah, that was it. But the one with Kendrick, where he spits in his own flow first, then Kendrick comes in. I think it's On Me, and then he spits again after Kendrick, and he just does Kendrick's flow better than Kendrick, which is like that's ridiculous in itself.
And everyone says that Kendrick is a god tier rapper, so it shows you the level the game is. But anyway, back to Tory Lanez. I just think to myself that no.
Where you go? I just wanted to listen to the segue was going. I was like,
no. I'll always bring up the game. He's like my favorite rapper, innit? So like he's always gonna be like half my thought process. But no, I just feel like this. So what we're talking about originality now. The content of this album is. For Tory Lanez, at least, it's very original, but it's because of he's talking about stuff that's literally coming from the heart, coming from his own experiences. Yeah. And I think that's an issue that a lot of artists have anyway, especially when you're like 4 or 5 albums deep. What do you even have to talk about anymore? Like, for example, you look at 50 Cent, and his first album, Get Rich or Die Trying, he had so much shit to get off his chest. Then the second album, The Massacre, he had loads to talk about. By the time he got on to the third album, the guy had nothing to talk about anymore. He had nothing.
Curtis was trash, man.
Yeah, and it's just, like you can say the same thing about Eminem. There's loads of rappers that are like this, that they just haven't got anything to talk about. So especially when you make an album like once a year, once every 2 years, it's almost as if they haven't lived enough yet to actually have more things to talk about. So with this incident that's happened, Tory Lanez has had like a lot of stuff to get off his chest, to come out and say, to share with the world, and he's done that. What do you guys think about the situation? What do you think happened? Do you feel like you've got any closer to having a informed opinion about it?
I want to say one more thing. There's another issue I had with the album whereby I spoke to you guys about this, but there's one song, like the rapping songs are all about, screw Megan, I'm on my new wave now, they're chatting crap. And then he's got the songs where he's singing and it's just going completely against that. And like, I understand there's conflict and that's obviously demonstrated well on the album. I just feel like it could have been broken up differently. So instead of having one hard-hitting rap track and then going straight into like a soppy track, like Jokes on Me, for example, like I just found it like hard to listen to a story at that point. I was just like, oh, either you're saying X and you got a new girl who's a bad bitch who you're loving, or you're crying and you still love Megan and you want her back. And
I think that both are true.
that's what. Yeah, both are true, but
Both
you're
are
trying to
true.
clear your
Like,
name. I just, I don't know.
bro, if you ever split up with a girl that you love, right? I hope you don't. I hope none of you do. Actually, I hope no one splits up with someone that they truly love. But if you split up with a girl you truly love, right, there's going to be two things that will happen, or one of two things, maybe even both, right? But you're either going to sit at home and cry to yourself and talk about how much you love this woman and you want her back, or you're going to go and fuck a whole bunch of bitches and try and get out your system.
But you're not going to do both. Are you going to
You know what? Yeah, sometimes people go and knock down a couple of hoes and come home and start crying. So, like, it could be both.
So
I know someone that did both, in fact, right? So, yeah, so yeah, it can happen. So this almost bipolar way of looking at this whole situation, which Tory's had, I feel like it's accurate. I feel like a lot of guys will say that they don't care, whatever, about the girl, I got my new gun or whatever. In reality, they're lying, and sometimes they're telling the truth, but quite often they're lying. Especially if they genuinely love a woman, you're going to be upset if you split up, no matter what the circumstances are. Even if she cheated on you, you'd probably still be upset about it, even if you do move on.
This whole album's dedicated to Meg is essentially
It's clearly
do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I think it's more dedicated to clearing his name, to be honest. Like, I can understand that point if you're years deep and that's all you know. But how long?
But no one knows how long they were doing the thing for.
It seemed like they were going on for a little while, actually. It's not a new thing.
Well, you're yeah.
I have one, like, so with this whole album being released, right, there's been a lot of talk on the interwebs about
interwebbies.
Yeah, man.
Tory being an idiot for making this album and for being really self-absorbent and not thinking about how other people feel, especially because this album came out the day after Breonna Taylor, the officers that killed her, they weren't charged with any offense related to her death. The only thing they were charged for was shooting up the property, but not for her dying. So people said that he was really inconsiderate releasing the album when he released it. And I know he came out and said that the release date was the day. Was it the day his mum died or his mum's birthday? One of the two.
His mum died.
Yeah, so it was a significant day for him. So I can understand that. I do have an issue with the fact that I don't feel there was an apology at all during the album. There wasn't a "I'm sorry for what's happened." I feel.
But in his mind, he's done nothing wrong.
No, but he said that there were things he could have done differently. For example, there's a track where he addresses the fact that they were at what's her name, Kylie Jenner's house, and he was getting a bit frisky with her, if you like, and said that it was a disrespect to Meg because of the fact that they've been dealing with each other, and how if it wasn't for him really having the hots for Kylie, basically, he wouldn't have even done that. But I feel like he could have apologized for that. I think that if I am to say what I believe happened, I believe he did shoot Meg, but I think it was an accident. So my understanding is, and I think that what DJ Academic said, like pretty much a week after this whole incident occurred, he said that he had heard that Kylie, Meg, and Tory were all at Kylie's house. Kylie, Meg, and Tory at Kylie's house. Tory was getting hands-on, whatever, with Kylie. Meg got upset. She left. Tory went and chased her down. And then they had an argument. After the argument occurred, or during the argument, there might have been I don't know if it was if Meg tried to attack him or whatever happened, but there was some sort of melee. And then Tory took out his gun and he shot the gun into the floor. And then when he shot the gun into the floor, the bullet, the shrapnel, whatever, ricocheted and hit Meg in the foot. And that's why the wound wasn't as bad as a normal gunshot wound would be, because it wasn't the actual bullet striking the foot, it was just shrapnel from the bullet hitting the foot. Now, to me, that is not the same as shooting someone. That is an accident. Like if I kick a ball at the wall and the ball bounces back and hits my mum in the face, I didn't kick the ball in my mum's face, did I? It's an accident. But like, yeah. So I don't understand how, if that was what's happened, how people can have such having a go at Tory in such a bad way.
I think the problem is, Matt, like what you need to consider is, obviously, as black men, we need to protect our black women, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And Tory did this basically with probably like the most iconic black woman at this present time. Like, and the thing is to actually say to that. One second. So for me to say Tory did it, that it's allegedly, right? Like a lot of this whole incident, this whole situation is how to put it. It's petrol for the rumor mills. They love this shit. You know what I mean? This is clickbait central. Like, like the only way we're ever going to get the truth is if, you know, this goes to court and the facts actually come out. Because at this moment in time, it feels like it's one person's word against another, and it's whoever has the best PR team. Their narrative is going to be the definitive truth unless it goes to court and we're presented with evidence, and an actual, and we can build our own narrative from what the evidence actually suggests. So it's too early to say cancel Tory, but at the same time, yeah, you probably need to take him with a pinch of salt, because if it does come out that he did that, he shot her in the foot, like, I'm never listening to Tory again. But for now, I'm not. But I think for now, I want to see where this goes. I hope it goes to court so we can get like an actual evidence.
I think that's something that needs to be pointed out, right? Is that there wasn't only two people there; there were more than two people there. I think it was like 3 or 4 people that were actually there, plus Kylie, because obviously was at her house.
So what I heard was that. So the initial part that you said was what I heard as well, where they were all at Kylie's in the pool or something, and Meg was like drunk out her face.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Tory.
Up, man.
Yeah. No, Tory made a pass at Kylie. Meg hyped up because she was drunk, and then Kylie kicked him out. And then they went somewhere, and on that way there, wherever they're going with the other people, that's when chaos ensued. And then obviously everything went south. And obviously I can believe that, because there's been quite a few stories of Megan getting drunk and getting rowdy. So I can believe that. And then I can also believe that she put hands on him, gave him a little beat down. I'm just picturing, like, in WWE when they get them into the turnbuckle and just stomping them out. I can just
oh my God. Are you saying that Meg gave him the Rikishi bum treatment?
No, but I'm saying she pummeled him with a fist, innit? And he couldn't take it and jumped out the car. This is sounding a bit extreme, but from what he said, he shot from behind her. So if they're arguing, she's turned away, and then he's pulled out like a warning shot. He's saying, how can I shoot you from behind and then a bullet go into your foot? And then there was also reports of saying glass was inside of her foot. So I don't even know if he... I don't know, like, it's just not adding up. Like, Tory's side makes more sense.
Look, at the end of the day, like, there's going to be, as you've just mentioned, Matt, lots of different accounts of what has actually happened. But until someone can stand up in court where their possible freedom could be removed. Yeah, people do, but at least that is a process that is a due process,
I will say one other thing, Manny, right?
Yeah,
and that is that I'm just trying to go by as much as what I can go by from what Tory said in his album as well. Obviously, Meg said her say on social media, but what Tory did say is, if I shot you, why would you get back in the car with me? Because when the police stopped them, the police stopped the car. Police didn't come to them out on the roadside. Police stopped the G-Wagon that they were traveling. I think it was a G-Wagon. So, obviously, Meg did get back in the car with him. Whether they were going to the hospital or not, I don't know what they were doing. But she clearly wasn't fearing for her life with him. Or maybe she was. Maybe she was so scared that she got back in the car. I don't know.
So she had a point for this. She said, I think it was on her live or something. She was saying, like, I didn't want the police to find out there's a gun in the car for them to start shooting.
This is before she got back in the car with Tory before the police came. Before the police came. So, like, yeah. Tory Lanez was arrested at the spot. He went to the police station but got released the next day. So she didn't get back in the car with him then, but she was in the car with him beforehand. So, yeah, I feel like that whole situation is crazy. Very crazy, very crazy. But yeah, it's created some good music.
Yeah,
no, definitely.
I'm waiting for the next album. It's gonna be sick. It's gonna be like, bitch, you shot me on every track. It's gonna be.
Who shot you?
Oh shit! Imagine. Do you think she's actually coming out this year?
Nah, she dropped an album already this year, did she? So she could do another album, I guess, but I don't see her. It wasn't an album, it was a mixtape actually, but I don't think she could do that, and I also don't see her doing anything more than maybe one or two tracks adjusting the situation. Megan is not a rapper like that. She's not gonna. I've not ever heard any track from her where she's going into any big detail about anything in her life before. She's a party track sort of girl, which is fine. But if she was to go and do that, it'd be interesting to hear. Maybe she could. I'm sure she's got in her to actually record a track like that. Yeah, but it's probably going to be more.
Look, if Cardi B could do it, I think Meg could do it. You know what I mean?
She's going to be on some gang shit. She's going to be like, pull up in Texas, see what happens to you. Yeah. Houston, baby.
Well, anyway, who's the biggest gangsters in? It's Jay Prince, isn't it?
Yeah, but I swear she has beef with him though.
Yeah, I think she has. Yeah.
Because her label boss, right, is like buddies with Jay Prince, isn't it? Right. And I don't know what their working relationship is, but I know that it seems like Jay Prince protects him, because when Megan was trying to get out of a record deal and trying to use Rock Nation to help her do it, Jay Prince come out and said, like, nah, that shit can't run. So I know that if she was trying to get some protection from him, it probably ain't going to be so forthcoming now. Or maybe it would be, but then in getting that protection, it would mean that she has to stay loyal to her current record deal. But come on, Tory Lanez ain't no shooter, and I get like, he's obviously not gonna go for it now, is he? Come on, that's some rack shit. He ain't gonna do that. So we'll see.
But we can't. You can't just say that he's not. We don't know. That's the truth.
No, what I mean by that, I mean, like, come on, no, Manny. There's a difference between someone shooting someone in a fit of rage and someone actually leaving their house to go to someone else's house and shoot them. There's a difference. So that's what I mean.
All I'm saying, in America, people do dumb shit every day. Like, I'm not gonna put it past anyone, but equally, I'm not gonna judge anyone until like sufficient evidence is like put in front of me. I'm not gonna make you guilty like right away. Just let's see the evidence. You know what I mean?
I heard that.
Anyway, what is your ratings for this album?
I'll let you guys go first.
I'm going to say, there you go, mate. Connolly, so.
I'm giving it a 4. I'm like,
why are you giving it a 4?
I split between 3 and 4, 3 and 4. But the fact is, there's like only one track I dislike. Right? There's not really any other bad points about it, really. Like, it's a good album. Like, it sets out to do what it's meant to do. Tell his side of the story. There's a bit of soppy crap that isn't really necessary, but you know, it is what it is. So for me, it's a 4. I think it's one of his better albums as well.
Yeah.
What do you give it, man?
So for me, I'm gonna give it a 4. Like the guy is, as I said at the start, he is singing for his life, and you can feel it on this album. Like the subject matter and everything, like everything else. We have to separate it because the body of work he has produced, like it's got bangers, it's got depth on it, it's got love songs, it feels like R&B is back when you listen to that song. But then equally, if we bring in the context, it kind of makes the album kind of dark. Do you know what I mean? And it almost makes me want to lower the score. But we're here to review music, and based on just the music and the quality of the tracks on the album, it's definitely a 4-star in my eyes. It's definitely above average.
Yeah, I feel like that's a very heartfelt rating you've given there, Manny. I feel like you're gonna have. I feel like you're gonna have that album on in the background whilst you're making love. From the sounds of it, when you say the R&B is back, you're gonna be like, "Baby, I might shoot you, but it wasn't on purpose, baby. I love you."
You know,
it doesn't kill you; it makes you stronger, right, Manny?
That's right, baby.
But you gotta kill it with something, though, right? Anyway, that's enough of that. For me, do you know what? Right, I feel like when I first listened to the album, I said it was 3 years, right? And I said,
yeah,
and I feel like I was consuming a lot of social media at the time as well. Yeah. And there's like a lot of negativity around the album and the fact it was even released. And I feel like I allowed that to cloud my view on the album. I listened to it again a couple of days later, and my view was that the album's solid. I usually look for cohesion in the album. I look for overall plot or story that's being told, the message that's coming across from the album, and I look at like the content of the album, and of course the beats as well. And this album has it all.
Yeah,
there's not really any weak part of the album. The only part you could say was weak, if anything, was the fact that Tory is essentially being a bit of a bitch ass with the whole concept. But even then, like I said, he's trying to clear his name. He believes he's in the right, or at least not in the wrong, and he's wanting to share his message. And I feel like he's got every right to do so. So for me, it's a 4 years album and a strong one at that.
Great. Sweet. Okay, cool, man. Let's segue to the next album. Should we go with Action Bronson?
Let's go for it, man. I love that guy.
Yeah.
Action Bronson, like, I follow this guy on Twitter, right? And he's just like one of the funniest characters that I follow. Like he's not always tweeting. He goes through like fits and spurts, right? But when he is tweeting and when he's doing anything, you just see that someone that I'd love to actually chill with. He's hilarious, man.
I feel like Action Bronson, if you look at him on face value, he shouldn't be a rap artist. If you just look at him, he just doesn't look like a rap artist, which is fine because. But when you watch any of like his content, like when you listen to like maybe not this album, but his last one for me personally, you feel his energy and like you can tell he's from New York. You can tell like he's a student of the game, you know, like and that's probably why he's got his contract, you know. So
absolutely,
yeah, like I do like him as well.
I think he's got a very creative way of putting things as well. That's what draws me into him. He's quite charismatic in that sense as well. I just find him hilarious.
His creativity his imagination seems to be unbound. Really, he just even when you look at what he does in this album, it's just he's marrying things together that I didn't think he would actually marry together, and especially not by someone like him, and it's amazing. And it's funny because I feel like his career's been held back a little bit by the fact that he sounds a lot like Ghostface. He sounds a lot like Ghostface Killah from Wu-Tang. And I believe it's mainly because of the fact they come from the same place. The voices are so similar. But in terms of the way they rap, even the subject matter of what they rap about is completely different. There's no similarities in that sense. And like I've said it last week, Action, when he raps, he just paints these pictures in your head and it just makes you think, what the fuck? Why am I thinking about this? And it's just hilarious. But Yeah, let's talk about Only for Dolphins. That's his new album.
Let's do it.
Well, we all listen to this, right? We all
Yeah.
experience the greatness.
I want to say one thing. The album art he actually painted. So it's like an original Action Bronson piece for the album art, which is kind of sick because the actual album artwork
That's very cool.
Actually, it's mad arty. Like it's actually arty.
It is.
It's a bit of Basquiat in there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Action Basquiat.
He's a man of many talents.
That's dope. But yeah, so anyway, I'll put this out straight away, right? Like, if you just look at Action Bronson's work, it usually follows mostly hip hop rules in the sense that it's not always like he's from New York. It's not always a New York sound, like that gritty New York sound. It changes up, and you will have some music that sounds a lot more. How do I put it? They're not even like big cross beats, but they're beats that you probably associate with like Currency, where they're like quite laid back and smooth and kind of like you maybe like you meant to hit a blunt to it whilst you're listening. He has a lot of those sort of tracks. This album, it had a couple of tracks like that, but for the most part, it's completely different. It's like the guy went on tour and recorded it. Like when I say tour, he went on tour around the world and recorded it. There's so many different sounds on there, which I wouldn't say strangely complement each other. I guess the sounds are more like from the Caribbean and from Latin America as well. Or I guess even the Caribbean, like Puerto Rico and Cuba maybe, but it works. It really works.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I've always enjoyed his beat selection as well. This one has a bit of a different vibe, like you said, but it's still, I don't know, it's still an enjoyable listen. I feel like you have to be in the mood. Like, you have to be in a relaxed mood and be able to take it all in. Yeah. Like, you can't be listening to it whilst you're doing something else. Or, like, you have to just sit down to absorb the album. And once you do that, you can really appreciate it. If you try and listen to it whilst you're doing something which might be fast-paced, or something hectic, it's not going to gel with you. So you have to be in the right setting.
I think it would be an interesting album to listen to if you were angry, because I think it would actually calm you down. The vibes are so cool and it's so chilled. It really would calm you down if you were to go and bang someone in the face. It's like, put on some Action Bronson and calm down. But yeah, like, so to be clear, it's got very strong Latin vibes in it, like Latin music, and it's also got like reggae music. And I'm not talking dancehall. We're not talking Bounty Killer and Beanie Man. We're talking like reggae, like more towards like Bob Marley sort of stuff, the Wailers sort of music. And it's odd. I never thought I'd really want to hear, I never thought I'd want to hear a rapper over those sort of old school reggae beats, but it works. It works. It sounds good.
Yeah. And as silly as it sounds, it doesn't surprise me, because I think on his last album there's a track where he's on the phone, like he got someone to call someone on the phone, and there's hold music, and he's like, "Oh, what beat is this?" And he starts rapping to it, and he makes it bang. And it's a similar sort of thing here. Like, you wouldn't expect him to be on like a typical reggae beat. Yeah, he is. And it feels like a perfect fit for him. Like he's been doing it forever.
Yeah. I think like with Action Bronson is one thing to note is that it feels like he's always rapping over like live instruments.
Yeah.
Like
his beat selection is immaculate. It is.
Yeah, it is really good. Like, however, sorry to be a negative Nancy on this.
How dare you?
But, I feel like his music and his albums are very similar. Like, do you know what I mean? It does get a bit repetitive. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Or
I do get what you're saying, but I would counteract it by saying this album isn't very long. It's 12 tracks and it's about 36 minutes. So if it was like a 20-track album and it was like this, I would agree with you. But I feel like it's short enough that before it begins to feel repetitive, it's finished. If that makes sense. So I do get it. If you have it on loop, you probably be like, okay, I've had enough. But no, with just one playthrough or two playthrough, it doesn't sound repetitive to me, at least.
But when I mean repetitive, I'm talking about it's repetitive it almost replicates his past albums. Like
Oh, okay.
there's no new formula. Probably the only new introduction to the formula is a bit of reggae, but essentially,
And the latter music. I feel like the production aspect of it,
Yeah.
in terms of the sound,
right.
is very different. But in terms of what Action Bronson's rapping about and stuff like that, it's very similar. That's who he is, I guess.
I do get what you're saying, Manny. Like, it feels
Yeah.
like he could try more and push the envelope a bit further. He could take more risks.
You see, now I disagree with that, and there's a reason why I disagree with it. When you listen to Action Bronson's mixtapes, they have a certain sound, and that sound is what got him the fame and notoriety and got him his chance with a record label, whatever. And then when he then signed and he made the actual album, his first album was really rubbish, and that's because he tried to do too much. And I feel like he lost his core. His core fans didn't appreciate it, basically. So then I feel like this is him kind of returning to his mixtape formula, and it works. So I do get what you're saying about the repetitiveness, but I feel like when he did branch out before, it didn't work so well. So that's probably why he's chosen not to go back down that path.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, what would you say is your standout song?
For me, it was probably Hard Target.
Okay,
It was probably like his most retrospective song.
I think for me, it's a tie between GoldenEye and Cliffhanger. I'll probably go with GoldenEye.
Two of the biggest reggae tunes on there. Honestly, for me, it's GoldenEye, because when that song started playing, I was like shocked. I was like, what? Action Bronson doing reggae? This is crazy. Yeah, but I love that song. It's really good. That's going to be added to my playlist for sure. I did enjoy it.
I'm actually just going to leave the whole album in my playlist, to be fair.
It does flow.
If it's shuffling,
it flows so well.
If your thing's shuffling, it's like a nice palate cleanser. And by that, I mean, like...
you know, when you're between meals in a fancy restaurant and they serve you just a palate cleanser.
You know, that ice sorbet, the lemon sorbet. No, but, like, think about it, yeah? Like, you're listening to Meek Mill, and then you want to come off the hype train. Oh, Action Bronson comes on. Sick. And then you want to go for, like, an R&B love thing, and you're, like, listening to your R&B stuff. Or that
Tory Lanez. That Baby Making Daystar album.
I don't know. Action Bronson comes on, and it's a reggae track, and then you segue into reggae and dancing and stuff. Like, that's what I mean. Like, you can leave the whole album in like a playlist and put the playlist on shuffle, and it'll just like merge the tracks perfectly. That's how I feel.
Come and sing, guys. Come and sing.
Cool. So, ratings. Let's give some ratings for Action Bronson.
I'm gonna give it a 3.
Only for Dolphins, so it's not Action Bronson, only for Dolphins. You're giving it 3 A's, okay? Cool. And I feel like everyone's explained why already, so that's fair.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 2.
Yeah, it's a unanimous one again. It's a 3 A's for me. And it's a strong 3 as well. It's going to be like a 3.2, 3.3. It's a really, it's a good album, easy listen. It's short.
2, by the way.
2?
Yeah.
What? I wish it's 3, my bad.
No, that's a 2.
Wow, you think it's 2? You think it's 4?
Yeah, I didn't think it was 4. I just thought it was... Yeah, I did think it was 4, because it's kind of like same old, do you know what I mean?
Oh, wow, okay. Well, I give it 3, so...
Okay.
I thought it was a strong 3 as well. I thought I thought it was a really good album from him. So, 2, people say 3, therefore it's a 3.
There you go.
Bye, hater.
See you.
Next one, A$AP Ferg. Floor Seats 2. Is he even A$AP Ferg anymore? I saw there was a big falling out in the A$AP mob.
Was there?
Yeah.
No, brother's right, man.
Basically, I forgot who it was. Who is it? Let me quickly Google this one for you. So yeah, A$AP Nast. No, it wasn't him. Okay, so ASAP Ills said that ASAP Ferg is like ASAP Ills, to give some clarity, he's one of the founding members of the ASAP mob. ASAP Ferg wasn't in there to begin with, neither was ASAP Rocky either. They got added in like a year or two later because ASAP mob are actually like a creative team, creative group. It's not just rappers, it's designers and whatever else, graffiti artists in there as well, stuff like that. So they said that basically ASAP Ills thought that ASAP Ferg just bites whatever he says and doesn't give any credit. So he would be like, oh yeah, what do you think of this song? What do you think of that song? What do you think of these clothes? What do you think of those clothes? And then he would do it and not say, oh yeah, my nigga, like help me pick it out or help me do this, whatever, or give any credit. So he said enough of this shit and he's kicked him out the group. That's caused a bit of infighting. Obviously other members are saying, no, you can't do that. And to be fair, ASAP Ferg publicly stayed very quiet on this. I think he didn't really care because the way he sees it, he's a millionaire rap star now, so it makes a difference to him. Stuff like that, or he decided he's not going to air out his private business in public, probably somewhere between the two. Anyway, in light of all of that, he's released Floor Seats 2, which is that must be his third album now. And yeah, what do you guys think?
I'm a big ASAP Ferg fan, to be fair. And it didn't have the energy that I expected it would have. So I was gassed for this album. I think it was the first one that I played as well. But it just, like, nothing really stood out as memorable for me. And I tried to like it, but I don't know.
You're going to force yourself sort of thing.
Yeah. Like, the first, like, I don't know, it felt very safe and like it went away from his tried and tested formula. So for me, it didn't really pick up until like track 5 was good, but then track 7, Move Your Hips, was trash. And then after that, it picked up. But that's like 60% way through the album. Like, you're waiting a long time for it to get into its groove. Like, it wasn't bad. In fact, it wasn't great. It wasn't good. It was like I was disappointed. I wanted more. I wanted more trap music. I wanted more gas. I just wanted more, especially from a 10-track album as well. Like, I feel like it didn't play to his strengths.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with that. I feel like, to be honest with you, I feel like since maybe Trap Lord, which is probably the project I enjoyed the most from A$AP Ferg. I feel like most of his projects, they have like a couple of good tracks on there, but the albums themselves aren't necessarily that good. So yeah.
Still Striving was really good.
It was alright. Yeah, again, it's the same thing to me. Like, he had a couple of good songs on there, but for the most part, it wasn't that good. Like, Plain Jane and that went off. That song was crazy.
Marilyn.
That was really it. Like, what did I really like so much? I don't think A$AP Ferg is an artist that's going to give you crazy albums. But what he is going to do is going to give you crazy anthems, and they will come thick and fast. Right? Maybe like once a year, once every 2 years, he'll give you a really big track that you're going to be banging out in the riff. You're going to hear it in the clubs. You're going to hear it in the radio. It gets you hype.
And I think I don't know if it's because of Corona, right? But like, he didn't have that rollout this year, so his marketing plan probably was scattered. Like, he didn't have that big single.
Yeah, well, did it not have a big single, this one? I'm pretty sure it had a big single.
No, they released Dennis Rodman, I think, as the rollout track, right? And
yeah. Do you know, I'm thinking of the song with Big Sean, which isn't his song and it's Big Sean's song. So you're right. I feel like for A$AP Ferg, because of the way his music is, I feel like it gains traction in nightclubs before it gets traction outside of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when people aren't in nightclubs, it's a bit more difficult. You can't get hype the same way in your living room, you know what I mean? You need to be out and about having fun, and you're like, then when that track comes on, it just brings back good memories. You know what I mean? Like, so I think of Plain Jane. I remember like being in Rolling Loud and how that song went off out there and how it was crazy. But then I remember Plain Jane going off in clubs in London before I even experienced it there. So it's not, again, although I do listen to Plain Jane every now and then, like on my ones, it's not a song that you're just gonna go and get hyped to by yourself, sort of thing. I feel like this current climate isn't the perfect one for A$AP Ferg to be operating in. Let's put it that way.
That's the thing. Like, does anyone know when this album was recorded? Like, was it just recorded like at the start of this year until middle, or was it recorded like at the start of coronavirus outbreak?
I really have no idea.
There's only one track that you could imagine that would go off in the club, and that's I think it's called Value or something like that.
Oh yeah, Value is hard.
Yeah, Value. That's my favorite track, and that's the kind of like energy I expected like to be more prevalent in the album. But it's like absent. So like most of these songs, why I say safe is like they're songs that you could probably play on the radio, and they might get a few spins and build traction. But it's not the hard hitting ones you expect from Ferg, which would like get everyone gassed in the club. It's only like one or two tracks that do that.
Okay, so with that being said, then what sort of rating are you giving it?
I'm still giving it 5 stars for it's A$AP Ferg, bro. What? I'm joking.
5 ears, masterpiece.
Nah, it's a 2.
Nah, it's a 2 for me.
Yeah, straight 2. Throw it in the bin.
It's a 2 for you, Ollie?
Yeah, 2.
Cool.
1,000. I'm joking.
Before we go any further, I feel like we need to drop some socials in there.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Follow us on EarSauce _ on Twitter. Follow us EarSauce _ on the YouTube. Subscribe to us, actually. Don't follow us. Subscribe and comment on the videos if you're watching on YouTube.
Hit that bell icon.
We want to hear you in the conversation. I want to know what you guys think. You're listening to us.
Yeah.
We're seeing the views go up. We want to know what you're thinking about what we're saying. Like, you know, do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think we're just chatting about the shit? Let us know. You know
they're going to agree with whatever I say, because whatever I say is possible. So we're going to stick to that. But obviously, if you disagree with Matt or Manny, put it in the comments and we'll discuss it.
If you wanna directly have a go at me, come message me on Twitter at Mr. Matty Lee or on Instagram at Mr._Matty Lee. I'm here for it. We can have a little back and forth and we can share our opinions on whatever albums that we've been talking about. I'm here for it, mate.
See, or you can holler at me on Twitter, Emmanuel Yates90. If you want to have a quick convo about your thoughts on the latest album reviews.
Yeah, and if you want to get at me, it's OC_Clark_10 on Twitter.
Cool. Yeah. I think we've still got 2 more albums to review before we wrap it up for today.
Yeah.
So the next one, okay, go on.
Yeah, and then upcoming releases as well.
Oh yeah, because we've got a couple of big ones coming up very soon, haven't we?
Yeah, but go on. Let's go to the next one.
Okay, so the next one is Spillage Village, and they released the album called Spillage. And that's the big.
That's a sick name. I literally just got it now. Like, if you add religion and spillage, like, you get religion.
Oh man, mind
blown. I had a light bulb moment.
Man, you are like really quick, you know, man. I wish I had friends that are smart as you, man.
Oh, days, you can't all be this quick, innit? I didn't even take notice of the track album.
Oh my god, you are flipping slow, man. Anyway,
I am faster than Sonic, mate.
Right. Anyway, yeah. So to put some context on this, there's a rapper that was signed by Jay-Z called J. Cole, and he come on to become one of the greatest rappers of his generation.
Is that the same guy as Jermaine Cole?
Yeah, the one that born in Germany but is American. That one. Yeah. Call Me Back.
Yeah, the one from Forest Hill Drive.
Yeah, and then he had really short hair, then he grew dreads out. Know that one?
Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and he had a sideline story, but then he was a born sinner, but he took us to Forest Hill Drive for your dreams only.
His album is for your eyes only, so You know what I'm saying?
and then it was all about the KOD. But anyway, so this guy called J. Cole, he started a record label called Dreamville, and he signed a whole bunch of artists on that. And it's an amazing record label. And there's a group on that record label called Earth Gang, which is two guys, and they're very similar to Outkast actually. So if you haven't listened to their music, you should try out some of their records. And so you've got Earth Gang, you've also got another artist called JID, who's actually one person. And them three have decided to form a little supergroup called Spillage Village. And basically, the way they see it is that they're all elite MCs and they're spitting some elite lyrics for your ears. So they released this album on Friday, so 12 tracks, 50 minutes, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. That's what I have to say straight away. It's a different sound. It's very much an Earth Gang sound, to be fair, but it's really really enjoyable. The beats are different. It's not a hype album per se, but some of the tracks are a bit hype. Some of the tracks are more relaxed and laid back. But on all of the tracks, you have some elite bars on there that really thought provoking, and some of them make you say wow. Some of them got the double entendres, stuff like that. It was a really enjoyable listen throughout for me.
Yeah, so if you're getting tired of music lately, or you feel like everyone's doing the same sort of sound, or it's just droning to you, this is the album that's gonna reinvigorate you. I don't want to say cleanse your palate again, but you know, it's just a unique sound, and it's a really enjoyable listen. Easy to get into as well. Like, you could never listen to these guys as like really approachable music. I enjoyed it as well. It's a vibe, and it's unlike Action Bronson. You can have this in any sort of scenario, and it will just power you through. Like it's a really, really good album. It's sort of like hip hop soul, like hip hop. I don't know what you call it, but it's like
I
soul
actually
rap.
don't know. I don't know.
Rap.
Is it neo rap soul?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's like that. It's along those lines. It sounds weird. It doesn't sound like it makes any sense, but when you listen to it, it'll just click, just like Spillage.
I feel like I could say this without even disrespecting them, but I would say that Earth Gang especially would consider themselves to be hippies, almost. And so if you can imagine that sort of vibe of just like being extra chill, extra like, I don't know, extra energized at times as well, and just spitting some immaculate lyrics. That's what they're all about. So yeah, that's what that is. So for me, I give it a 3 years again, but it was a strong 3 years. Like, I don't think it was quite a 4. Ooh. But yeah.
So
what did you give it, Ali?
I listened to it once, but there was quite a few times I reloaded tracks. So in my mind, I was tracking a 4. I'm gonna stick with a 4, which is what my initial.
I said strong 3. You're saying 4, so I'm happy to upgrade my one on that one. I'm not gonna fight a 4 because I think all of these. I think the Earth Gang are very talented. I think the 2 members in Earth Gang are very talented when you hear them alone, and I think that JID is extremely talented, and I feel like he's an artist that should be bigger than he is. I'm surprised that he's not.
Are you missing out the recording artist, 6 Black as well?
Yeah,
he's part of it as well, right?
He's not, but he's had tracks with them before.
Yeah, he's featured quite a lot on the album.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But so 4 years. Cool. Spillage, check it out. Definitely a good listen. And we are at the last album now. We have to introduce a West Coast legend, a living legend, Mr. Dom Kennedy. He released a mixtape, Rap and Roll, and this is a year later, or just over a year after, or well over a year actually after the passing of Nipsey Hussle. But Dom Kennedy and Nipsey Hussle are very good friends, so I feel like I have to mention the late great. He's actually mentioned a few times on this album as well.
Pete.
And it's 17 tracks, and 51 minutes of quality music from Dom Kennedy, in my opinion. I think that Dom Kennedy he's not a Marmite rapper, but what he is, he's a hit and miss rapper. Like, I came into contact, I first heard Dom Kennedy when he released the Yellow album. And to me, the Yellow album is one of the best albums to come out of the West Coast in the past, 10, 20, maybe even 30 years. It's a really, really good album. Like, when you take 30 years, that's including, like, you know, this is Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre times 30 years ago, right? So that's how good I think the album was. And I feel like he went from that height, and then he released like some really trash projects after, and I couldn't believe it was the same person that released this music. So fast forward to 2020, the game. Did the game release this year or last year? When did
the game released last year? Born to Rap.
Last year. Okay, yeah. So that's why it was late last year, wasn't it? So Dom Kennedy executive produced the album, and I believe that was one of the best albums that the game's actually ever made, to be honest with you. It was just literally so good. I don't know how best to describe it, but I really enjoyed it from start to finish. And so knowing that he could executive produce somebody else's album that was so good, I didn't understand why he'd been releasing music himself that had been below par, until he's come out with this project, Rock and Roll, and I feel like he's basically released the best project since the Yellow album, and it's a very, very good album, in my opinion. Standout tracks on this album for me, probably, what was it? We Out Here, Revelations, Life is also a really great track as well. Like, there's a few of them on there really good.
So for me, the standout was August 22nd.
Another great track.
That track was August 22nd, Saint Ermias, and Raymond Washington were the three tracks that I really enjoyed. But
What did
August 22nd.
What did you think about Thinking Intermission? I feel like that was a really good track as well. It was a short one, but it was a good one.
I didn't even notice it played.
Sometimes it's a good thing, you know.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when the track is, like, again, I talk about cohesion in an album and how tracks kind of flow into one another. And sometimes when two tracks flow into each other that well that you don't even notice that it's another track, that I see that as a positive thing. Some people may not like that, but I actually see that as a positive.
Yeah, so literally it's like that spread between Raymond to August 22nd. Thinking Intermission, when I look back at the track list when I was going listening to my Apple TV, I was like, when did that track come on? So yeah, it flows through nicely. But generally speaking, even the outro is really good. The vibes, that's a really good. It's just a really good album. Is it Life that has a really like strong like 90s West Coast beat, or is that Revelations?
Revelations. Actually, it's got a sample on there from like the 70s, I believe. Revelations does. I forgot what song it is, but I know it's cool. It's got Cool in the Gang sample on there. That's what it is. And I love that song. And so for him to have that sample on, obviously I end up liking the song as well.
Yeah, that song was incredible as well. That felt like it was like straight out of Dr. Dre's like, do not let anyone rap on this because it's too good collection.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a good album. Like I wasn't feeling it for like the first like 4 tracks or so until Sirens come on.
Sirens is like what, track 5?
Yeah, and I'm also not like a massive Dom Kennedy fan, but it's a nice, like he's in the same camp as Currency. Like it's nice music that you can just.
Yeah, Dom Kennedy is similar to Currency in the sense that they're both laid back rappers. They're not on a hype thing, or his lyrics can be hype, but his flow is very laid back. So
yeah, it's very relaxing. But the actual lyrics are actually like of good substance as well. So sometimes Currency's quality in terms of lyrics falls below par, but I'm yet to experience that with Dom Kennedy, but I haven't listened to all of his albums.
Currency is a better rapper than Dom Kennedy from a technical standpoint, from a lyrical standpoint. I feel like Dom Kennedy is I'll say he's like a lifestyle rapper. He raps about a lifestyle that is for me, something that would be quite enjoyable. Or I guess Currency does the same thing as well, to be fair. So yeah, I'd say Currency's a better rapper than Tom Kennedy. But Tom has got he's got his own lane, let's put it that way. They're not in the same lane. They are different.
Yeah, I feel like I prefer Currency's lifestyle raps, but I've listened to a lot more Currency. So I've also heard worse raps from Currency than I have Tom Kennedy's. I feel like I should play him some more. But yeah, it was a good album, a good listen. What did you think, Manny?
Oh, I didn't listen to it.
Fair. Come on. What are you going to say there, Manny?
No, I ain't listened to it yet. I'll probably save that one next week or so.
Yeah, man, you can give us our thoughts next week. 100%.
What are you guys rating it?
I feel like we've been quite generous this week with our ratings, to be honest with you. We've got a couple of 4s in there. And with that being said, I believe that although I don't know if this deserves a 4 or not, I feel like there are some weaker songs on here. Which I feel like there's songs that you can listen to just fine as part of an album. But if you were to just play them by themselves, they don't stand up. And it's a weird one because we're judging the album here, we're not judging the singles. So it's definitely a 3, but is it pushing for a 4? I'm not sure. What do you think, Ollie?
So for me, it's a toss-up. I can't really call it a 2, but I don't know if it's strong enough to be a 3. I'm erring more towards the 3 side. But
I'm saying 3 or 4. You're saying 2 or 3. So let's just say it's a 3 then in that case.
Yeah,
that's a fair score.
Boom. All right, wicked, man. Before we wrap up, let's talk about upcoming releases. There's only one that I know that's coming out this Friday for sure, and that is Savage Mode 2. That is with my guy from East
21.
21 Savage.
21.
Jeez.
Yo, this is new.
I'm hoping this album is going to be as scary, as fucking dangerous, as dark and twisted as the first one. I'm hoping that Amber Rose hasn't ruined him. That's what I'm hoping.
Nah, if anything, she just made him harder.
Wait, is YG dropping this?
Young Savage, why you going so hard?
Is YG dropping this Friday?
Right, okay, so October 2nd, it should be Smoke Duzot. Should be dropping Homegrown. Mariah Carey might be dropping an album called The Rarities. I think this could just be like songs that were recorded but never released. Yeah. YG, My Life for Hunter, releasing as well. Hello Black is supposed to be releasing All Love Everything. And 21 and Metro Booming releasing Savage Mode 2.
And if you're into it, Bon Jovi. No, I'm joking. Yeah, that should be a good lot of releases. I'm really looking forward to 21 Savage as well.
So yeah, I think that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed another episode of the EarSauce podcast. I hope you got that sauce for your ears. Hope you're feeling invigorated to some new music this week with us, those new releases. And we'll see you back for the next one. See you later, guys.